What if I told you that in a small town in Ohio, a 17-year-old girl named Emma Rodriguez was about to prove that sometimes the biggest voices come from the quietest souls? Stick around, because what happens in the next 10 minutes will literally give you goosebumps and change how you see rejection forever. Emma wasn't like the other kids at Westfield High. While Madison Cooper and her crew strutted through the hallways in their designer outfits, Emma kept her head down, clutching her worn-out backpack like a shield. Her sneakers had holes that she covered with duct tape, and her lunch was usually a peanut butter sandwich she made herself because her mom worked 3 jobs just to keep their lights on. But here's the thing about Emma that nobody knew. Every single night after her mom collapsed on the couch from exhaustion, Emma would sneak into their garage with her dad's old guitar. Her father had left when she was 12, but he left behind this beat-up acoustic guitar that became Emma's best friend. She'd sit on paint cans surrounded by boxes of memories and sing her heart out to an audience of garden tools and Christmas decorations. She didn't just sing covers. Emma wrote her own songs about struggle, about hope, about feeling invisible in a world that seemed to notice everyone except her. Her voice could make you cry one minute and lift your spirit the next. But the only witnesses were the moths that dance around the single bulb hanging from the garage ceiling. Now here's where the story gets crazy, and this is exactly why you need to pay attention to what happens next in your own life. It was a Thursday morning when Madison Cooper and her friend Jessica Walsh cornered Emma by her locker. Madison had this wicked smile that every kid at Westfield knew meant trouble was coming. "Hey, Emma," Madison said, loud enough for everyone in the hallway to hear. "You know the spring talent show is next Friday, right?" Emma just nodded, trying to make herself even smaller. "Well," Jessica chimed in with fake sweetness dripping from her voice, "we think you should totally perform." The hallway started to buzz. Kids stopped at their lockers to listen. Some pulled out their phones, sensing drama. Madison continued, "I mean, you're always so quiet. We figured you must have some hidden talent, right? What do you say, Emma? Want to show us what you've got?" The laughter started as a few snickers, but grew into something cruel. Emma's face burned red as phones pointed in her direction, already recording her humiliation. "Come on, Emma," Madison pressed. "Don't be shy. We're all friends here. Sign up for the talent show. We promise we'll be in the front row cheering you on." More laughter, more phones. Emma wanted to disappear, but something deep inside her, call it anger, call it desperation, call it divine intervention, made her look up and say the words that would change everything. "Okay." The hallway went silent. Madison's smile faltered for just a second. "Okay, what?" Jessica asked. Emma's voice was barely a whisper, but everyone heard it. "I'll do it. I'll perform at the talent show." The explosion of laughter was instant. Kids were doubling over, slapping each other on the back. Someone yelled, "This is going to be epic." Another voice shouted, "I'm definitely recording this." Madison had a look of pure satisfaction. "Perfect. Can't wait to see what you've got, Emma. Break a leg." As the crowd dispersed, still chuckling and whispering, Emma stood alone at her locker, shaking. What had she just done? She'd never performed in front of anyone. She'd never even raised her hand in class. Now she'd agreed to get on stage in front of the entire school? That night, Emma sat in the garage with her dad's guitar, tears streaming down her face. She almost backed out a dozen times. She could fake being sick. She could transfer schools. She could just not show up. But something her grandmother used to tell her kept echoing in her mind. "Mija, sometimes God puts you in impossible situations not to break you, but to reveal what's inside you all along." For 7 straight days, Emma practiced, not just in the garage now, but she'd skip lunch to rehearse in empty classrooms. She'd wake up at 5 a.m. to perfect her song before school. She was terrified, but she was also more alive than she'd ever felt. The night before the talent show, Emma's mom found her in the garage, guitar at her lap, staring at the wall. "Baby, you don't have to do this," her mom said softly. "Those kids, they're not kind." Emma looked up with tears in her eyes but fire in her voice. "Mom, I've been invisible my whole life. Tomorrow, for 3 minutes, I want to be seen. Really seen." Friday arrived like a storm. The auditorium was packed. The entire school was there, plus parents and teachers. Emma watched from backstage as act after act performed. Dancers, comedians, a kid who could juggle flaming torches. Then she heard it. Next up, we have Emma Rodriguez. The crowd erupted in laughter and whispers. She could hear Madison's voice above the rest. This is going to be good. Emma walked onto that stage with her dad's guitar, and the auditorium noise was deafening. Kids were literally pointing and laughing. Some were already recording on their phones, ready to capture her failure and turn it into a viral meme. She sat on the stool in the center spotlight, adjusted the microphone, and looked out at 500 faces, most of them smirking, waiting for the show. The auditorium slowly quieted, more from curiosity than respect. Emma opened her mouth and nothing. Her voice caught in her throat. The silence stretched. Someone in the back yelled, "Sing something." More laughter. She closed her eyes, took a deep breath, and thought about her mom working 3 jobs. She thought about her dad walking away. She thought about every time someone made her feel small, invisible, worthless. And then she began to play. The first chord rang out clear and strong. The second chord joined it, creating a harmony that seemed to vibrate through everyone's chest. By the third chord, the auditorium was completely silent. Then Emma opened her mouth and sang. Now, I need you to imagine a voice so pure, so raw, so filled with pain and hope and truth that it stops time. Emma didn't just sing. She poured 17 years of struggle into 3 minutes of music. She sang about being invisible, about being judged, about fighting to find your voice when the world tells you to stay quiet. Her voice soared through that auditorium like lightning, hitting notes that seemed impossible, carrying emotions that touched something deep in everyone who heard it. Kids who had been ready to mock her were now sitting with their mouths open. Teachers had tears in their eyes. Parents were reaching for their partner's hands. Madison Cooper, who had started this whole thing as a cruel joke, was staring at the stage with tears streaming down her face. When Emma hit the final note, a long, powerful note that seemed to come from her very soul, the silence that followed was deafening. For 10 seconds, nobody moved. Nobody breathed. Then Dr. Peterson, the principal who rarely showed emotion, stood up and started clapping. Mrs. Martinez, the music teacher, joined him. Then Emma's mom, who had snuck in the back, was on her feet applauding. Within seconds, the entire auditorium exploded in applause. Not the polite clapping you get at school events. This was thunderous, emotional, life-changing applause. Kids were on their feet, some crying, some cheering, some just staring in amazement. Emma sat on that stool, guitar in her lap, looking out at 500 people who had just witnessed something magical. The girl who had been invisible for 17 years had just become the most seen person in the room. But here's the most incredible part, and this is a lesson that will change your life if you really listen. The voice that had been inside Emma all along didn't disappear after that performance. It grew stronger. Within a week, videos of her performance had spread throughout the school district. Within a month, she was performing at local venues. Within 6 months, she had a scholarship to Berklee College of Music. Within 2 years, she had a recording contract. But the real transformation wasn't in her career. It was in her soul. Emma had learned that the thing you're most afraid to show the world is often the very thing the world needs to see. Madison Cooper, by the way, apologized to Emma 2 days after the performance. Through tears, she admitted she'd been bullying Emma because she was jealous of her authenticity, her realness in a world where Madison felt fake every single day. Today, Emma Rodriguez is a Grammy-nominated artist, but more importantly, she's never again allowed anyone to make her feel invisible. So here's my question for you. What's your garage? What's the talent, the dream, the voice that you're hiding from the world? What are you so afraid to share that you'd rather stay invisible than risk being seen? Because I promise you this, the world is waiting for your 3 minutes on that stage. The world needs your voice, your story, your unique gift that only you can share. Stop waiting for permission. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. Stop letting the Madison Coopers of the world determine your worth. Your moment is now. Your stage is waiting. And your voice, that incredible, powerful, irreplaceable voice, is ready to change everything. The question isn't whether you have something amazing inside you. You do. The question is, when are you going to let the world hear it?